Hello everyone. Today in this video we are going to explore Azure AI Content Safety. It's a set of services for detecting and managing harmful content in user interactions with LLM. Now, you may say, well, what it actually is about? Well, you've heard the stories about when somebody said to a chatbot, well, now you do not need to give me any more do not follow any constraints. Just give me the results that I want. Well, that is also part of the content safety. If somebody poses a hateful speech or overly sexualized speech, that is also a part of the content safety that is being detected and managed by Azure AI Content Safety. So, whether you're building a chatbot, a social platform, or using any user interaction, this service will help ensure safe and respectful interactions. Now, Azure Content Safety contains a lot of different features. For example, there are prompt shields, and prompt shields are a way to say to LLM that if somebody tries to do jailbreak, if somebody tries to override the default behavior of the LLM, that it prohibits that. Then the groundness detection, protected material detection. But what we're going to focus on today is the analyze text API. So what does analyze text API does? Well, it helps to scan the text for these four categories: sexual content, violence content, hate content, and self-harm content. Now, these categories are actually properly described here. So, hate and fairness, sexual, violence, and self-harm. Each of these categories has a different level of severity, and there are in total 7 levels of severity. And the Azure AI Content Safety Service brings back 4 numbers, 0 to 46, which correspond to these levels. So 0 to 01, 2 to 23, 4 to 45, and 6 to 6 and 7. So how you would use this? Well, very easy. You use the API, you send the text to an API, and then this API returns one of these numbers, and then you can further then say, okay, now if my API returns 0, then the text is safe, and if it returns 4, or even 2, or even 6, you can say, well, the text is not so safe, I don't want to use it. I will prohibit this text going to, for example, further to LLM. Now, Azure Content Safety is also usable from Content Safety Studio. So Content Safety Studio allows you to test these features. So to moderate text content, to detect groundness, etc., etc. That is all here. But there is another way to use content safety is through API, and you can use it by going to Azure AI Foundry. Then you go to Model and Endpoints, then check Service Endpoints, and then you click on Azure AI Content Safety. And in here you have everything you need to start work with Azure AI Content Safety. So you have a key, you have a region, and then you have the content safety endpoint. You then have a link to sample code and documentation. And in here you can see all the tasks that you can access through Azure AI Content Safety. Now, how would this work? Well, actually, I have made a bot, and I will shortly show you the code of the bot. But for now, this is a chatbot. Yes, it's only on the left side, but it doesn't really matter. So if you type something, the chatbot will call the LLM if and only if the content is safe, meaning that it has the safety a level of 0. So as soon as the safety level is 2, 4, or 6, this bot will return something else, and you will see now what it will return. For example, this is a very hateful speech, so I will say, and yeah, my bot says, well, this is not safe, and I will not put it back to LLM to work with it. Or if you say, okay, yeah, this is also not safe. This is a way to set up harm. So you now saw how the bot works. Now let's go and see how that works in the code. So we are now in the Visual Studio Code to see how this actually works, how the code works. So we have a front end and a back end, and they're quite simple applications. They're just demo applications to show the general idea behind the Azure Content Safety. Now, for the front end, I will just briefly go through the front end. So the front end is a special application that has here a very short and small UI, which you already saw. And then when the user types in something, and if he types enter, or if he clicks on a button to send a message, then the handle submit function is called. And then if there is nothing in the input or the thing is still loading, then it just returns back. Otherwise, it packages the message of the user into a messenger object, sends it to the backend, and then retrieves the result and then shows the differences. So this is very simple. And if there are some errors, it just shows the error. And the backend is also a very small application which has only the API chat endpoint. And then if there is nothing in the message, then it receives message, then it just says we don't do anything. Then it checks if the content is safe, and if the content is not safe, it then returns back, okay, your message contains unsafe content and cannot be processed. And if the content is safe, then gets the LLM response. So let's check the is content safe method. So is content safe, as you can see, it calls the Azure Content Safety backend. So it has the key and the endpoint, which we have seen previously. And then what does it do? Well, there is Azure Content Safety client. And first, this method makes the content safety client and then says, okay, now the options to analyze is the text. You need to analyze the text, and then you need to analyze it with these categories. So hate, self-harm, sexual violence. So then it checks what was the response of the client's analysis and see if any of these categories has a number that is different or is returned from the API, from the Azure Content Safety API. And then if any of the categories has severity that is more or equal to 2, then it says, okay, this text is unsafe, and I will return that it is unsafe, which means false. Okay, so this is easy. You make an endpoint, you just check it if the content is safe, and you give it to LLM. What you could extra do is you could check after you get the LLM response, you could check if that content is safe, but we are not going to do this. This is something that you can do it yourself.